Hey guys, good afternoon. It is Friday, September 13th, Friday the 13th.
Ooh.
I love it. So cute. I'm here with my very dear friend, Terri Jones Robbins. She is the co-founder and CEO, president, I'm going to do all of that, of Base Camp Children's Cancer Foundation. I've been very blessed to be involved in that for a long time. And so it is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, September. And we have a big event coming up, and so we've been trying to get Terri on the show because what Base Camp does is amazing, and I can't wait for her to share it with you. So give us, hey, what's up, Commissioner Gray? Hi, Shauna. Just give us a thumbs up, let us know you can hear us and see us. That would be great because Terri's got a great story and a great message, and there's so much that we can do to make everyone's lives the best that they can be, and so welcome to the show.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm so excited. All right, so everybody likes origin story. You obviously weren't born, and then all of a sudden I'm going to form Base Camp Children's Cancer Foundation. So tell us a little bit about your beginnings and what you started out doing and where you're from.
I am from Jackson, Mississippi.
Jackson, Mississippi.
I actually moved to Orlando, Florida via Cleveland, Ohio in 1980 when I was a baby, you know.
I didn't even know you were born in 1980, Terri.
I moved to Central Florida, and it was actually the summer I turned 23. I always say I was a smart aleck 22-year-old when I moved here. And my now ex-husband and I moved here and worked with a funny sounding naming company called A.B. Dick Company. It was an offset printing company, and one of his customers was a board member at Leukemia Society, and he and his wife were about the same age, and we started doing couple friend things. We were, as I call, Florida orphans, which I know a lot of people move here and you don't have family, you don't have resources, you don't have friends, and your coworkers and become your friends and your family.
Right.
And we had a wonderful relationship, and I started volunteering. I grew up in a volunteering family. My mother led me to believe that everybody volunteered and everybody
good idea. I like it.
Raised food for a family at Thanksgiving. I was a Girl Scout and stole poppies for the VA veterans and the what is that thing? Oh, American Legion. And my family was all into volunteering. I thought everybody volunteered. So when I moved here, I found somewhere to volunteer, and it was the Leukemia Society, and I actually met Jim Weinberg, who is our current
We love Jim and Alice Weinberg.
Board of Director, President, Chairman. I met them when I was a youngster in 1980 and started volunteering for Leukemia Society, and then went on staff in 1982.
And so what was that like? When you begin volunteering, let's talk about Leukemia Society for a minute. You begin volunteering, it's different to volunteer and then to all of a sudden be a co-founder and go to Base Camp with Children's Cancer Foundation. So how do you make that leap? What happened? Was there any kind of trigger? Was there anything that caused you to say, I really want to do more for children's cancer?
Yes, and absolutely. I always tell people, I did not set out to start a nonprofit. I worked for a nonprofit, and it was a wonderful nonprofit. It is a wonderful nonprofit. I respect the Leukemia Society. I feel like they're my grandparents. They raised me. But I would answer the phone, and people would literally be crying. My husband was just diagnosed with cancer. We have 3 little kids. My daughter was diagnosed with cancer, my son. So I could be a resource human being and tell them about patient aid for Leukemia Society or support groups at the hospital. And so I just kind of had that vein of a social worker in my blood. And I also found out, pardon me, that Disney World, back then we could get anybody who had cancer into Disney for free. And it's still very similar. We can still get kids in. Yeah. Adults, not always so much. There are some adult wish groups, but I would just blurt out, hey, you want to go to Disney World? in a moment of kind of silence and sadness. And I always say 99% of the people said that's exactly what we need. We just need a day of a day of normalcy before this thing all goes sideways quick. And back in the 80s, I always tell people there was not a lot of good news. The cure rate for children's cancer was only 1 out of 5 children would survive, and that's flipped now. In 1983, I was asked to be on the founding committee of Candlelighters, which is the parent support group. It's an international parent support group of which we are still an affiliate.
I love that.
There's Candlelighters of the UK in Leeds, England, which we've got to visit a few years ago. There's Candlelighters of Canada. There's an international parent support group called ICIPU. It's something like International Childhood Cancer Parent Organization. And our national organization, Candlelighters of America, changed their name about 10 years ago, very smartly, marketing-wise. The original group came up with Candlelighters. There was a phrase, it's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. So that's where Candlelighters came up with. But for a marketing name, Candlelighters is like, what you doing? Are you selling candles or what you doing? So American Childhood Cancer Organization is our parent organization of Candlelighters, of which we are still an affiliate, but we do not share any funding. I always say we're like Channel 13, all local all the time. All money is raised local, all money is spent locally, and all of our programs are local.
And where was it your idea? And I want people to know what BASE stands for as well. Where did the idea come up for? And you're going to obviously tell me what the catalyst was. But I think people are like, "What's BASE Camp? Is that the space program?" I've had people ask me that
people
before.
say space camp. Do you have a camp? And it's another not so smart marketing name. I always say I wish we could go backwards and name ourselves the Children's Cancer Foundation. But I think that name was taken. And so our founding chairman of the board, Ben and Lori Dillard out in Windermere, some people may date themselves and know them. They got to know me under my work at Leukemia Society. We had some Alworth events, and I was a fundraiser at Leukemia Society and got to hobnob with all the wonderful people out there. And they started letting us use their little 4,000 square foot boathouse on Lake Butler as a place to bring kids. And Ben Dillard is actually who came up with that name, because by the time I met them, we were having the attraction tickets, the parent support groups, the social groups for teenagers. Part of my story is my own brother was diagnosed with AIDS in 1985 and passed away in 87. And during that era is when I was approached by this sweet group of local kids with cancer who said, "Would you be our group?" I joked that it was my Camaro. I had a brand new 1980 Camaro that sunk my vote that I was going to be their group leader. I said nobody else was running for the job. It's like being run unopposed. But I started taking kids out to the movies, and we would go bowling, and we would have fun. And then after my brother died in 1987, one of the kids' moms asked me if they could spend the weekend with me because they were going to the wedding, and the kid was mad that he was going to miss the weekend. We called ourselves Starlighters back then. It was a spin-off of Candlelighters, another horrible marketing name. We're not good at marketing. But I thought, well, that's inappropriate to have a 15-year-old teenage boy spend the weekend with me. So I just invited all the kids. So since somewhere around November of 1987, we started having an overnight camp, first at my house and then at local hotels. And because we live in the mecca of hotel rooms, it was not hard to find sponsors.
Sure.
And we still have Embassy Suites, the Rosen, Westgate Lakes Resorts, Wyndham at Lake Buena Vista, that sponsor at least once a year so we can have a crazy overnight camp. And we often camp out in the ballroom. So we'll have
It's an awesome event.
That's
awesome.
Silly and fun, and the kids love it.
But you also do, so talk about Base Camp in general. What do you do on a daily basis? What is Base Camp doing? I mean, I know what I think, but tell them what's different. What are you trying to accomplish? Who are you serving? And how do you guys go about doing that as regular as you do?
Well, the first thing is BASE is an acronym for Believe, Achieve, Support, and Educate, which are our core values. We, believe that we can help, and we can believe that we can, help the kids along their way, and we can educate some people, their school teachers or their classes. So we do all kinds of things. And then also the name Base Camp that Ben Dillard came up with, he was familiar with the mountaineering term. Base Camp is a set of of encampments that are built as you climb a mountain. I always thought that base camp was at one camp at the base of a mountain, but it's really a series of encampments that are built. Like especially when you go climb Mount Everest, you don't just walk up to the top one day. You go to base camp 1 and you acclimate yourself, and then you go to 2 and you may come back and you get yourself ready and acclimated to finish the climb. So those overnight camps, those parent support groups, those social teen groups, those Christmas parties, those Halloween parties, they're just stops along the journey to gain the strength and the courage. So we focus on nourishment, encouragement, and strength to finish the climb. So literally every day of the week, we are at one of the 3 hospitals that treat kids with cancer in Central Florida. There are 17 hospitals in the state of Florida. We have 3 in Orange County. And the closest to us are in Tampa, St. Pete, Gainesville, Jacksonville, and then South Florida has a bunch. So you can imagine if you live in Orange, Seminole, Osceola, Brevard, Lake, Polk, the true Central Florida, you're going to end up going to Arnold Palmer, Advent Health, Nemours Children's Hospital. I still don't know sometimes why people get placed at one hospital or another. I think a lot of it's insurance driven.
I'm sure it is.
They just end up there. And the good thing is there's a organization called Children's Oncology Group. It's a group of doctors and hospitals, of which our 3 hospitals are members. So it doesn't matter if you're in Hoboken or Jackson, Mississippi or Kansas, if your child has a particular type of cancer and you're diagnosed, you're going to get the exact same treatment. You're going to get the same recipe. So people don't have to go far away. Now, there are some exclusions to that. If you have a rare diagnosis or a difficult diagnosis, you may have to go somewhere else. We're also very proud that Advent Health, we have our own bone marrow transplant unit right here.
That's awesome.
Our kids used to have to go away and go to Seattle and go to all ends of the earth, even Gainesville. It's hard if you're 2 hours away and your kid and your wife have to be there for months at a time, and the family gets all separated, and so those are one.
So how do you mitigate what's going on? What does base camp do on a daily basis?
So we actually, nourishment is a big thing. I always joke that's when we're a little chubby around the edges. We are constantly delivering comfort food. Every day we are either at Advent Health, Arnold Palmer, or Florida Hospital. Advent is Florida, or Nemours. We deliver bagels. We work with Einstein Bagels. We deliver a lot of Olive Garden, a lot of Shake Shack, a lot of Papa John's and Pizza Hut and Taco Bell. And we have wonderful sponsors who give us $100 so we can go buy kids what they want. So literally every Monday, Wednesday, we deliver lunch to Arnold Palmer. Parents can set their clocks by us.
I love it.
And a lot of times the kids aren't necessarily eating the food. A lot of times they do, but nobody's feeding the parents. We realized years ago that the patient is getting a tray, and sometimes they're not. If they're on nothing by mouth, they don't even get a tray that mom can eat the roll off of.
Right.
So when we bring in food that's donated and free for families, it gives them an economic relief. It gives them just a little bit of nourishment. We can't count the times that parents have hugged us. And also, sometimes it does encourage those kids to get up and walk down to the kitchen serving area to see what is there. We laugh when we roll in with our red wagon. There's always a kid with an IV pole that's got saying, "What you got?
What you got?
What you got?" And it's amazing what happens, even if they just think they want to take a bite, or they do take a bite. And we've had stories that kids have gotten to go home from the hospital because they wouldn't eat the hospital food, but they would eat the Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets.
Right.
And they proved to the doctors that they would eat. They just didn't want to eat the hospital
Well,
food.
it's hard. I mean, you're a kid. I think people have to remember you're a kid going through this. So you can have the best support system on the planet, but you're still a child. You're still going through this, and you haven't mastered all the emotions yet. Can you ever really when it comes to cancer? But you're not a mature adult. You haven't gone through so many things. So if you're going through cancer, you're still a child going through cancer. And I think it's just so important for people to realize that it's not just a regular patient. There was a picture that came out, I think it was on AP Wire, and it was this older sister who they had stopped playing, and she was holding on to the back of her younger sibling who was obviously feeling the effects of chemo or radiation, completely bald, and that becomes their new normal, which is not normal. So what Base Camp, in my opinion, does is it brings some sort of old-time normalcy to the world. Your Chick-fil-A's, your Papa John's, you do end of chemo cakes. I mean, there's so many things, because it's about celebrating the victories and then trying to bring some normalcy back.
And that is another thing that we do with the milestone parties. We celebrate end of chemos. On Monday, I think we have 3. There's a party at Nemours. There's a party at Advent Health on the floor. We have a newly diagnosed 2-year-old who is celebrating his birthday. So we're bringing a cake. When you get stuck at the hospital, and God bless Mom, it's the last thing she can think about.
Sure.
And she didn't want to leave her child to go get a cake when we can bring in a cake. And we're actually practicing our Spanish. We're going to.
Nice.
And then we have 2 end of chemos, and it just acknowledges the day. That's all we can ever do, is acknowledge this day on this journey. I always say that we are the directors of diversion. We are not curing cancer, very sadly. Doesn't seem like anybody else is either. But we can throw a party. We can invite you to a party. We can have an overnight camp. We actually have free babysitting every Friday night for local families who have kids 12 and younger. One of the kids has to be on treatment, but they don't necessarily have to come. The patient could be in the hospital and the parents just need a break. They can bring the 2 well siblings over. Tonight, awesome. We actually have the Winter Park firefighters coming. We have a mom who very sadly lost her daughter years ago, but she still commits to once a quarter. She comes and hosts. We're having a bowling party if it doesn't rain on our head. We'll still do it inside. We'll have an indoor carnival. But the Winter Park firefighters are coming. The last time they came with ice cream and the big truck, and just fun. It's just a diversion along the journey.
I like the diversion word, because I think that's what people don't understand. When you're in the midst of this and you are just trying to figure out how to survive, and as a parent, you've got job to think about, other children to think about, family, other responsibilities, and yet the only thing you can think about is trying to figure out how to keep your child well and alive. And so any kind of diversion, a quick, pizza in general, just anything. If you could see the pictures, and I tagged the Base Camp Facebook page, because if you go on there and you like it, you'll be able to see some of the pictures of the kids who are eating pizza or Chick-fil-A or the cakes, and there's this smile that they're not used to having while they're going through treatment. Remember, they've been now taken out of their family, they're taken out of their home, and they're at a hospital, and they're not around their friends, their parents. It's very difficult. I can't stress enough how difficult it is. So to bring something back that adds a little bit of, wow, I can celebrate like a regular kid, because in their minds a lot of times they don't feel like that anymore, and they don't feel good. And we all know, if you don't feel good, your mental state is not good, and so many challenges that the kids and the parents are having to deal with. So Base Camp coming in and giving them any of that back, that's what's such a blessing about what you do. And now we have a big event
Yes.
coming up. So Celebrity Waiter event is next Friday the 20th, and I'm going to let Terri talk about it. The home team of Freedom Mortgage and Mortgagee Title have purchased tables together. We love to give back, and so we're doing a big theme, and we've got a lot going on. But tell them about the event, what goes on, how much fun it is, and where it's at.
It is a fun, crazy,
so much
we
fun.
call it celebrity waiters, but they're really local celebrities. I always say we don't have J-Lo and...
What, I'm not J-Lo?
I know,
Come
you
on.
could dress like J-Lo.
Don't
and
give
then
Kat
we
Brower
could-
any
No.
ideas, please.
Oh, Kat Brower would be a great J-Lo.
She would be a great J-Lo.
So local townspeople, celebrities in their own hearts and mind, dress up and host a table of their 10 friends and family and coworkers and fun people. We have, the sheriff will be there. He promised not to handcuff anybody unless you tip really well or pay really well.
It's scary.
We have the fun local people. You probably know some more of the waiters. Alice didn't give me the cheat sheet of who's going to be there. But
Well, what's great about it too is, so We have a theme. A really close friend of mine's daughter passed this year, who had been involved with base camp. And so we are doing some things that are in honor of her, in memory of her. And so but the event itself, while it's a fundraiser, and I'm going to let you tell me where it's at again. It's somewhere in Seminole County, right?
Yes.
Okay, so, but it's fun. It's fast paced. So, for example, a couple of years ago, somebody paid $250 to have Kat Brower put a pie in my face. People get up and sing. People are challenged to run around the room with one of those horsey pony things you had as a kid. There's just so many cool things, and it's a constant ongoing, and sometimes it's hard to even get to the bottom of the amount of requests.
Right.
But it's a fun, fast-paced fundraiser that raises a lot of awareness and funds for base camp. And so where is it at this year?
It is at the Lake Mary Marriott, and this is our 8th annual. It's a biannual event. So really, we've been doing this for 16 years in Seminole County, so we have some wonderful waiters and guests who are ready to make donations and have fun and be silly and ride around the room on a pony and do a dance and sing. We've had the commissioners sing, board, school board directors, and we don't want to embarrass anybody or make anybody crazy. It's for fun. And I know that there's people who will do a cartwheel every day for a kid with cancer. If they can ensure that we can bring that lunch or deliver that dinner and a movie, or bring the gifts at Christmas, it's amazing what this event does.
That event, it just, so the first time I went, I think it might have been Linda Sampieri who invited me. And I went and I thought, a luncheon, what am I going to do what is celebrity waiter? I had no earthly idea. But when you go, I don't know about anybody else, but I forgot the overwhelming, think about it, we're raising money for Children's Cancer Foundation. So you forget for a little bit and you go in and you have fun, and the more fun you have, the more money you raise. And it's just a wonderful afternoon of camaraderie, people who are coming together for the same reason, people who will take risks. We made Kat Brower sing the FSU song because she's a big Gator fan. I mean, there's so much fun stuff you can do, and as you're doing it, you are raising money for base camp. And it just goes so quickly and so fast that you can't believe it's over. Every time I've ever been to the event, I'm like, I can't believe it's over right now. You almost have a sadness about it because it's so much fun and everybody is there together for the same reason.
Yeah, it's a crazy 2-hour ride. We have Covanta, who is our title sponsor, and we're very honored this year to have Orlando Health. We're going to be focusing on Arnold Palmer and Seminole hospitals who are part of Orlando Health. They've helped us pay for lunch, and so every penny that is donated from all the other 28 tables is pure income. That's
a great point. And Eric, I'm going to hook you up with Terri so that she can take you up on that. Very generous. Thank you. So listen to what Terri said. So important. So everything's paid for going into it. So every dollar raised is going right to the foundation. So that just starts you off, and if you come in and realize you're going to have some fun and creative, and know at the end of the day you've not only had fun but you're helping out such an amazing organization, I promise you're going to leave on Friday the 20th and feel absolutely amazing. Yes. I know I did the first time, and I haven't stopped being involved since. I just think that what Base Camp provides is such a unique service. And it takes care of some of the things that would normally fall through the cracks with some of the larger organizations and some of the organizations that focus on certain specific things. And Base Camp really tries to bring it together and go, okay, so they're not getting this. Let's try to help them out with that. But it's and Terri, you guys are just so amazing. All of you at Base Camp. Alice Weinberg messaged me 10 times today because I am slow at getting her information, but the passion that people feel when they are involved in Base Camp, it's
we have
wonderful.
A great group of volunteers. We have a very small staff. We kind of joke we're some version of 2 or 3 women in a red wagon. We're not a big, well-funded, huge organization. We really make a difference, and we're very honored to be part of people's journeys. We have families who have long-term survivors who still keep in touch with us, and families who have lost their battle along this journey who still honor who we are and what we do. And it's an amazing thing to be a good part of somebody's journey, and you can all be a good part of somebody's journey. You can check us out at basecamp.org. I always tell people, whether or not you think you're ready to commit to be a volunteer, just sign up at basecamp.org. You'll get volunteer notices if we need help. You'll get newsletters so you know what's going, and you can see all those smiles. And I agree with you. I always say I have lived a life since 1982 of if I never do another thing in my life days. When you walk in a room and a kid looks at his mom and says, we were just talking about Chick-fil-A, and here you walk in with Chick-fil-A or whatever the food is, right. And the food is obviously not the most important thing, but it's amazing. I feel like it's like what baseball players must feel like when they hit that home run. Right. You know, we are hitting a grand slam. When we walk in and we can be what somebody needs when they need it, whether it's hunger or a visit or just, you know, a silly song or something, just to give them that diversion, and they just needed a minute to take a breath, regroup, and go on.
Because that may have been the only minute in a long period of time that they've had that diversion. And I think it's so important that they get that, because it's such a fight. Remember, they're fighting for their lives, so it's a fight. And you have to constantly be on and battling. And what a wonderful thing to be able to provide them something that diverts them a little bit from that giant fight, and they can actually be a regular kid.
Just a normal kid. We have Halloween coming up. If anybody has Halloween costumes gently used that they've grown out of, bring them over. Our office is in Winter Park at the corner of I-4 and Lee Road. We also are getting ready for Christmas, and I know that Ted is part of the real estate community. We rely heavily. We love those real estate agents. They do gift toy drives for us all the time, because we have 1,000 families, children and families in our community. And our goal every year, we have a big Christmas party. We probably have 300 gifts. We have 100 kids. They all get 3 or 4 gifts. We also, behind the scenes, we adopt families. I call it a wow Christmas. I think we all want to go out and have a flat screen TV and a new gaming system, and when we can provide that for a family and give them that wow Christmas, it's amazing what $500 will do. Right. We also have some programs called Second Wishes, which are for kids who've had second or multiple occurrences of cancer, which we love those big once-in-a-lifetime wish companies, but and we're not sending anybody to Hawaii and on a trip on a Disney cruise. But again, when we can spend $500 and we can get somebody the gold chain they want, or a trip to Disney World, we work with moms who will walk them in, and hotels who will give them a free night there, and just have a mini little baby wish.
I love it.
And then we've for years we've done things behind the scenes. Now we've put a name to it. It's called Hospital Helium, and it's for kids who have not been able to go on their Make-A-Wish yet. They haven't been well enough. So they've had a second occurrence already, but they haven't had that big wish. So we can do some hospital helium, and we've also done some sibling little mini wishes, again in that $500 range. We've sent a family to Daytona 500 because the big brother at 7 was a NASCAR fan, and so we got them tickets so that he could take his whole family over to NASCAR. Awesome. And then we got him Daytona 500 tickets this year. Any of those kind of fun things. We have a local boy who, in his senior year of high school, he was his brother's bone marrow donor.
Wow.
And it affected his opportunity to play basketball. And he's been wanting to do some acting and modeling, so we worked with a local group here and got him a discount and paid for his classes. He's a sibling and a bone marrow donor. He's my personal hero.
I love that.
So we can, we're so small, we're literally local and small, and between our board of directors and myself, we're small staff, we can make those kind of decisions, and we don't have to go through a lot of red tape.
We can make an immediate impact,
yes.
Which is lovely. All right, so we're going to share Basecamp's information, basecamp.org. I already tagged the Facebook page. We'd love for you guys to get involved. Check it out. Terri's very accessible. Everybody at Base Camp's accessible. You can make such a big, giant local impact by getting involved and by helping them out. All right, we like to talk about mentors. You guys are obviously mentors to so many people I can't even imagine. But who would you like to give a shout out to who was a mentor in your world, Terri?
Sam Thomas was the executive director when I started at Leukemia Society, and I think he is the human being, aside from my mother, who also taught me I could do anything I wanted to do and be anything I wanted to be. And I was pretty and smart, and I could do anything.
You still are, Terri.
Thank you so much. But Sam Thomas, and he is still alive and well. He's in California now. He moved out there with the Leukemia Society out there, but he was such a wonderful mentor. He taught me some valuable lessons, like not to burn bridges. If you can do something about something, do it. If you can't, put it aside and move forward. And those have been valuable lessons to me with our organization, with me personally in life. People get so hung up on things, and you really just need to, do something. I also think about my mother. She always said, if 10 years from now you won't know the difference, let it go.
So true. People stress over things, and it's not going to even matter in a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years.
So Sam Thomas was the executive director,
awesome.
And Virginia Gorin, Virginia Roth at the time was our associate director. We were a small staff too. I was the third
Virginia
staff.
Gorin, she's a ambassador here. No, she's a board of governor.
She was another
awesome.
Strong.
I still see
those
her
people were, like I said, they were like my parents, my grandparents. They raised me, and they raised me
I'm going to
well.
tell her when I see her next. All right, you're a joy to have on. Get involved in Base Camp. If you want to ask about next week's luncheon, great. Definitely check it out. You guys are a joy. I'm so glad you came on. We love everybody that's involved in Base Camp, everybody who's doing anything for kids with cancer, Children's Cancer Foundation.
Yes, it's September Childhood Cancer Awareness
That's right.
Month. Lake Eola just went gold last Saturday. We're going gold. The Eye is going gold on the 14th. If you want to come to Shake Shack, if you buy a burger,
Shake Shack,
free golden fries.
Good stuff.
And then there's a memorial event on the 29th at Lake Nona. The Beacon goes gold, and we have all the children's names who have left us.
Thank you for being on. Thank you for all you guys do. What a blessing. Reach out to me. Reach out to Terri. Go to basecamp.org. We love you guys. We'll be back soon. Mwah. Have a beautiful weekend.